Okay, let's get this hooked up. Hello, I'm Farmer Bigsy, and welcome back to episode 5 of my challenge series on Mars the Mission. Just gonna get AutoDrive. Not AutoDrive, come on. This is definitely not AutoDrive. I'm gonna get my GPS started and start tackling the last of this lime. Boom. Of course. And I'm always just one little notch too far. Okay. I think that should be plenty. Let's get this set back up. Cool, and we're cruising. So yes, like I was saying, hello, I am Farmer Bigsy, and welcome back to episode 5 of my challenge series on Mars the Mission. We're currently in the month of January, picking up right where we left off. Last month in December, we used the Isaria Scout to take soil samples from all 4 of our animal domes. We then fertilized the wheat currently in the chicken dome, and then we spread lime in both of our boxes, fields 1 and 2, our lower cube, and then we went by and sprayed lime on all of the animal domes. We finished up last evening picking up all the stones off of all the fields. So there are no more stones to be had. All the stones went into our lime production and traded lime. This spreader tank is the last of the lime that I have traded. Everything else we need to finish up these 2 fields is going to need to be purchased at some point. Money's looking pretty good. We're sitting at $62,326, so that's half decent, could be better. But I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm quite happy with where we are. I did notice that the 3 greenhouses are producing a decent amount of money. I think it's like $5,000 a month. I'll double check that in a second. But the greenhouses are producing enough money to get us by. And I am confident that it should be able to get us through until the harvest season. And then we'll have to decide whether or not we want to store the crop that we harvest for the colony and towards our challenge goals. Whether we want to put that crop into a production and try to make even more money off of it, or whether we just straight up sell the crop because we are in desperate need of cash. Hopefully not option 3. Option 3 is the worst option. How is this GPS lined up? That looks too far. And like, I feel like this field would have been perfect if I had just mapped it 100% good. But that's okay. So yeah, so option 3 being selling the crop as is straight up the worst option. Ideally, we don't have to worry too much about money, and we can just save all of our crop and count it towards our $1 million, sorry, not $1 million, 1 million liters of each needed crop. Once again, the 6 crops I do plan on collecting are oats, already planted in the lower strip, the upper cube, and additionally in the chicken dome field. That chicken dome field is not realistically going to be used as any quantity going towards our challenge goals. The weed in that field is essentially just to feed the chickens once we get that up and running, and also to give me enough to create seeds that I can no longer need to purchase seeds and save a bit of money that way as well. So we have wheat. In the month of March or April, we're going to put down oats. We're then also going to have corn, sunflowers, and then the last two, which are most likely going to be things I take care of well down towards the end, especially once I have a good bit more money. Our last two crops are going to be potatoes, and I'm hoping sugar canes. I feel like sugar canes going to be a good little mix of everything, but the issue with sugar canes, how much am I missing here? Not bad. I'll just scoot back over. I do know that sugar canes requires you to buy a whole new equipment for it. You're going to need a forage harvester. You're going to need I hope the trailer I have, I think that can hook up, and I won't need a special trailer bin for that. But similar to potatoes, I do need to buy crates of sugarcanes and potatoes, and use those as seed instead of using the generic seed that we do get in game. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to do the outer rim of this field, because I think it was 8,000 liters roughly, but I have 2,266 liters left. Am I able to do one last strip? Let's roll the dice. Let's see what I can get. Okay. So yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to put potatoes and sugarcane down as our last two crops. When it comes to animals are going to be quite expensive. So I am planning to, hopefully, depending on how much time has passed, I'm hoping to buy maybe 10% or a quarter of the animals needed and have them reproduce over the many years, saving me money. And then I'll also be able to scale up accordingly and in pattern with the amount of animals we have. I don't plan on getting animals immediately, especially if we don't have feed ready for those animals, so I do want a little bit of backlog of TMR, hay, wheat for the chickens, and then I can't remember what I know potatoes, but I can't remember what else pigs need. And I'm out of line. Okay, this is what I was trying to avoid. Halfway being done a row. Yeah, so animals are going to come down the road, once again adding to the complexity of this challenge. And then just the awkward cherry on top, planting 1,000 trees. I know the original challenge made by the map creator was 10,000 trees, but 10,000 trees is just so many trees. Just planting for kind of just for planting's sake at that point. It would, like, planting that many trees would definitely balance out the money and make it more challenging, but I feel like 1,000 trees planted, hopefully behind the current little tree forest we have. Oh yeah, I need to buy lime now. So yeah, at some point we'll get 1,000 trees planted. Hopefully that doesn't completely break the bank, but we will do some justice to the map creator's intended challenge by putting down 10%. 10% of the trees that he wanted. The other reason I decided not to go with 10,000 trees is that I know it does begin to impact performance, and not full yet, slow down. 4,500. Okay, so ugh. I know I just said I'm feeling good with money, but seeing me dip below 60,000, I know I'm gonna start calling out each and every time I cross another 10,000. Oh no, I'm below 60,000. Oh no, I'm below 50,000. Then 40, 30. Hopefully I don't get that low, but it is just a little worrying, especially when I know there are still several months until I'm able to make any good profit. Last episode, we also learned that grass cannot be planted. Grass cannot be planted in December, January, or February. So I am just awkwardly waiting until March to get this unfolded and to, like I was saying, get the grass planted. That's going to be a March issue, and hopefully something that doesn't get in the way of me planting my actual challenge crops. But yeah, so that is something that is also going on. Once we get these fields all topped up with lime, I'm hoping to not need a third refill. So I just filled up again. We'll call that refill 1. Cost me just over 4,500. I'm expecting to fill up a second time. Like, how many rows? I think I can get this field done in 4, maybe 3 more rows. But if I can get this field done without completely draining this this spreader tank, I'm hoping to only need one more purchase of $4,500 to stretch out for a bit. Yeah, so after this is done, we will get on to getting Marty fully automated. That's going to involve setting up a AutoDrive course. Now, AutoDrive is a great... how should I say this? AutoDrive is a great ability. It's a great assistance. But it does require a little bit of setup work. You have to essentially set your roads, which at times can be automatically done using the traffic lanes that are by default on the maps. But on Mars we have none of that. And then additionally, you then need to set up your points of interest. I think they're called maybe positions. We'll figure out later on in this episode. But you mark which locations are of value. So I know I'm going to have the colony as a drop-off, like the colony grain bin as a drop-off point. I know as well we're going to need to have a few points in between the fields to act as my combine harvester unload point. So I do plan on harvesting myself, dumping into Marty, and then having Marty drive over to the colony holding point. We may also need... what else do we need? I think that's mainly it for AutoDrive. You need to have your network and then the points of interest. So hopefully we get those done. I will eventually start saving my courseplay fields, my courseplay maps, and just being able to reuse those. That might be something I get done this episode, but realistically I am focusing on AutoDrive because redoing courseplay maps and redoing GPS maps like I did starting off this field isn't too hard. But AutoDrive does not work without those two things being set up. Now, once that's all done, depending on how much daylight we have left in the month of January, I do want to get our purchasing area kind of all tidied up. We have a great deal of fertilizer sitting in their pallet jugs, down by the purchasing dome, and we do have the ability to store them closer to our warehouse. So I'll grab the tanker, which holds 8,000 liters, and I'll just start shuttling over fertilizer. Hopefully we have enough room in our liquid fertilizer bins to hold all of that. I didn't think about that, and they are the map's default bins or liquid fertilizer tanks, so I don't know how much is held in there, but hopefully it can hold 30,000. I can't remember how much I purchased. I purchased 36,000, I believe, maybe 32,000. But I purchased over 30, at least 30,000 liters of fertilizer. And outside of the 2 fertilizer sprayer refills that I did, the rest of it is just sitting there. Also sitting beside that fertilizer by the purchasing domes is, I think, 8,000 liters of seed. I know our seeder isn't full. Once again, I don't know how much is in there, but I do believe we have the ability to store our seed in some type of storage unit, once again by our warehouses. So get a few things cleaned up. Typically in like normal farming simulator 22 maps, typically you don't start with X number of fields that are completely empty. Typically your fields have something in them, and that allows you to kind of get a little further or be at a different point in the game. But here we are not that fortunate. We are kind of roughing it with a good amount of equipment and a good target goal, but we are kind of roughing it, just figuring out what we need to do. Sometimes I think of it as a starting from scratch, but starting from scratch typically refers to the money and the equipment that you start with. But starting from scratch here is that your fields are scratch. Your fields have nothing in them. They weren't even plowed. I think they had a seed bed down, but I'm not too worried about a seed bed. I'm not sure what type of effect on production or on crop yield seed bed does have anymore. I've been playing with precision farming for so long that it's something I never consider. But we're starting from scratch with the fields and with the soon-to-be availability of harvestable crops available to us. So, okay, so we're done this field. That is good to go. Let's see if I can get, ideally, these 2 longer strips and then the headland down at the bottom. Hopefully I'll be able to get that done in 5,600 liters of lime. I'll get this last field sorted, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Okay, so we are just about finished with this field, and that also means that we're finished liming all of our fields. If you quickly take a look in the top left corner, you can see that our pH value, we are gaining 0.25 points of pH level. But the real reason I bring that up is because it does kind of touch on something I mentioned in a previous episode. Under that checkered flag, you see that we are increasing pH to optimal value for, now it says sandy loam, but for whatever the specific soil type is. That is why I feel comfortable getting the lime down in advance of putting seed into the ground. If you fertilize using precision farming, before you put seed down, I don't know how the game would apply the fertilizer. Maybe there is a base level of fertilizer required for each different soil type. Where does this go? I want to get this right the first time. This should go in the... Ooh. Let's see what's behind door B. Perfect. So yeah, I don't know if there is a default value that is needed for sandy loam, silty clay, and I can't remember the last ground type. I know there's 4, but essentially, if you put fertilizer down after you seed or after you plant, you're specifically using the amount of fertilizer that you would need for that specific crop type. So when I do have time, I go around and I lime just like that. So yeah, so we have lime in the green, completely perfect on, mind you, when I say completely perfect, I'm not going to count that little piece at the bottom of field 2. I'm not going to count any kind of random little boops or parts missed, like you can see between field 9 and 12 there. But essentially, for the 99.9% of my fields, we should be at a perfect pH level. Nitrogen needs some help, but once again, I'm going to hold off on spraying fertilizer down until after I have my seeds down. So after we have seeds and nitrogen down, and then we do our first harvest, our first 2 bars there representing nitrogen and pH, our first bars should shoot up to 100. Weed control. I talked about weed control in a previous episode, I believe for episode 5 now, it wasn't last, I think episode 3. I might show what I mean in this episode or in a future episode of what I was trying to explain. Get that poor explanation tied to a better explanation with actual demonstrations. But we have soil sampling done across the board. Why is that not at 100%? That is the other issue with this map having the entirety of it be one plot, is that I feel like that soil sampling isn't properly picking up the individual fields. More so, it's just picking up the entirety of this block. So I don't know if these 4 animal domes on the right side are accounted for that. Man, I've put $108,000 just into my fields. Soil samples just shy of 60,000. Lime, I put 30,000. Wow, $28,000 worth of lime down. Liquid fertilizer, that's going to shoot up once I get some of these larger fields done in, once again, March or April. And $4.5 grand on seeds. I do like that it's counting fuel and vehicle maintenance. So we'll see how, we'll use this to see how profitable we are able to come. So yeah, so that is that. Now on to AutoDrive. Okay, so I'm gonna get this out of the way. Yeah, let me close this shed, jump back in my tractor, get this trailer out of the way. I don't think it would cause an issue for my AutoDrive, but I just want to make sure that any path that Marty is potentially going to take is properly clear of anything that could cause him problems down the road. Now, I don't know where I'm going to put this. Although I do have a lot of space in my sheds, it's kind of a long item. Perfect. I'm going to hide it right behind the command center side. This will make a perfect parking spot. Okay. So, turn this engine off. Let's jump into Marty, who is currently behind a door. Which door was that? If I'm going to play this correctly, as I'm not sitting in Marty, he was hooked up to the bin. Oh, I can hear him. Should be in D. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. So let's simulate this properly. I'm going to run back over to my tractor. Jump in my remote control to control Marty. And start this AutoDrive session up. Okay, what's the first thing I should do? I think the first thing I want to do, I might as well start bottom left-hand side of all my fields, or of the majority of my fields. I'm going to start over by those 2 mounds of dirt, and I'm going to start a outer ring of a network. Now, I should also pull up this, my AutoDrive user interface there. Okay. I think my boom can reach. Not that it needs to. So I'm going to be manually driving the harvester, so I'll be able to move properly. But let's get the edit mode on. And then I also want this outer ring, we'll call it. I want this to be a 2-way loop. So I will make sure to right click on this record button before getting started. Okay, quick sip of water. We are recording. Purple for 2-way. And we're off. Okay. And that is done. In the interest of time, I'll probably cut most, if not all of that out, but I'll explain it to you quickly. I essentially created a 2-way loop around the entirety of my fields, with 1-way paths in between my fields. Tied a simple way to get on and off my fields, going to and from the food quality storage bins. I added some markers and called it a day. Pretty simple, and I might make some changes to it here and there, but that is that, and that is done. But what was I gonna do next? Clean up. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab this tanker, 8,000 liters, and I am going to get all my fertilizer out of that main area and stored. Where is the bin? I'll figure out where the bin is. Once again, the good thing about this map is that, especially right now, everything is open and all the fields are essentially empty, so I can drive around as much as I want. The only real holdback to that is how much fuel I have. I was worried that I was going to have to buy a, what do you call that thing? A forklift. I guess I don't need a forklift though. Although forklifts are much better at moving pallets than a tractor would be. Especially with how much money I have. A forklift might just be an excessive expenditure of money right now. So what I'll probably do is, if I do need to move anything that is on a pallet for the foreseeable future, I'll just buy some pallet forks that attach to my front loader, and I will hook it up, put it on my trailer bed, and then I'll just drive it over. If things become really lucrative and money is no longer of a concern to me, I might buy a forklift. But one thing to remember during this entire challenge is that whatever money I finish with is the money I get to keep. And I do plan on role-playing that after this Mars mission, the money I am left with is the amount I have to start up my next adventure, my next series. So I will not just be spending money all loosey-goosey over the place, but I will try to be responsible with it. Now, which one of you two holds fertilizer? Liquid should be the flatter of the two. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to get all of the fertilizer and all of the seeds. I have to figure out where the seeds go. So you might see me once I'm done this before picking up the seeds. But you might just see me at the end once all the seeds have been picked up. And at that point, it should pretty much be all I have to do in January. If anything else comes up, I'll mention it to you guys, and we'll keep carrying on with Mars the Mission, our challenge series. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, let's figure out which one of these holds seeds, if any. There we go. Am I going to be able to turn out of here? Might have to do a little bit of reversing. No, we do not. We are good. And then I might need to grab the seed wagon first, because if I need to reverse to get to one of these points, one of these drop and pickup points, that will be a hassle. Come on. Okay, so we are loaded. We have 8,000 liters of seed in here, 30% full. So that means we can hold 25,000. Yeah, 25,000 roughly. Maybe 30,000. And then over here, a ton of room. We have 24,233 liters of liquid fertilizer, and this is only 14% full, so I don't ever think, like if I was producing my own liquid fertilizer, maybe would get anywhere near that full amount, but since I'm buying it, I'm not going to buy in bulk. Maybe during a cheap month. Let's take a look at the calendar, at the stock calendar. So liquid, no fluctuation of this product. Okay. Well, yeah, exactly. So with that, I'm not going to be bulk buying another 100,000 liters of fertilizer. I'm just going to buy as I need. One thing I might buy though, down the road, is a larger tanker. Especially once we get to the slurry, the milk out of the cows, and then once I have a bit more money to play around with, something bigger than 8,000 liters for tank capacity would be something I would be interested in. So I'll just keep that at the back of my head. Why is this not straight? I want this to be straight. Come on. Drop that. Drop that. Okay, well, it is pretty early in January, 2 p.m., just after 2 p.m., but I don't think there's much else to be done. This episode... What did we do this episode? So I know we just set up our AutoDrive course. I wish I could quickly show my cursor just to point this. What are those purple points? Not a concern. But we did set up our AutoDrive course, so we have two-way routes going around both this main, like this L shape, and then separately a two-way route going around the lower boxes, fields 1 and 2. And then we have the alleys in between that are heading east from the west. We then tied all those of that network into our grain collection silo, our colony food storage bins, and then that bin back into the network in a few ways. Or I guess that way was just one way, but there are a few ways to get towards the food storage area. So we did that. We got lime down on our last two fields, and then we also moved our items. Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to go ahead and buy some def. Def. Ooh, I am going to want to buy bondage. Silage additive. Bond silage. I am going to want to buy bond silage at some point. 25,000. I might have to, I know that, yeah, I might have to just go with a smaller one. But right now, let's go ahead. Let me grab a calculator, actually. No need. Yeah, let me grab a calculator. I just want to do some quick math. See how much does that work out to be? So, no, I don't need a calculator for that. I know that this larger one is definitely cheaper. You know what? I'm all over the place. Let's find out how much cheaper it is. So if you're buying 2,000 liters at 21,000, other way around, if you're paying $2,100 for 2,000 liters, each liter costs $1.05. Now, if you're paying $30 for 25 liters, each liter is $1.2. Not a big difference, but I can afford this for now, so I will definitely go and I'll buy that. I know this is quite a change. So like, for example, if you're spending $25,000 to buy 2,000 liters, each liter costs $12.5. Now, if you're spending $29.90 to buy 60 liters, you're paying just shy of $50 a liter. So what I might do is I might buy the smaller quantity once. I know it doesn't go too fast in 20 years here on Mars. This really might become worth it, but at least the first time, maybe the second time around. And then we'll kind of see where we are with our challenge. I'll buy a smaller one because realistically, I don't have $25,000 just to spend on bond silage. But yeah, so we bought that, we did those things. And next month, the month of February, what do we have to do in February? February should be, if we were planting cotton, which we have no intention to, that would be the month for that. February, it might snow. Yeah, no, I think we're done, and I don't even know what I'm going to do in February. So the next time you guys might see me might be March, and in March we will be seeding something down. In March we will seed oats, sunflowers, and not potatoes because we're too poor, not sugarcane because once again, poor boy Z over here. But in March, we will plant oat and sunflowers down. I do have a plan for where I want to put those down. In March, I plan, might as well just use this field, big old red map. In March, I plan on putting down oats in the middle strip, field 8, 11, and 14, and then also down in this lower cube in fields 3 and 4. I'll then leave the upper strip and both of the boxes for sunflowers. When do I do corn? No, I need corn. When do I plant corn? Corn is in April. Okay, I'm going to switch that up a bit. At first I was thinking if I had 3 crops down, you know what? I'll probably keep it that way for now. Because I know like if you dry oats, you can save them for a ton of time. Same thing if you dry sunflowers, you can save them for a ton of time. And I'm sure if we had a corn dryer up here, we could dry the corn, but I'll do that. And that way I'll be able to see how those 3 crops, oats, sunflowers, and wheat, all do on roughly 25 acres each. 25 acres breaking down, currently on these green blocks, we have wheat, so 15 on the upper strip and then another 10 acres down, on the lower strip, and then another 10 acres down on the upper cube. We'll kind of give that same treatment to the oats. The middle strip and the lower cube will get oats, so that's another 25. And then a final 25, 15 going on the upper strip, and then both the boxes, both being 5 acres roughly, we'll get some sunflowers down. That should give me a relative good understanding of where we sit on the completion of this challenge with 1 million liters of 6 different crops. So either way, I'm rambling. I'll get that done, and we will keep pressing along. Once again, next time you see me, it might be March. It should be March, and I hope it's March. Just to kind of get some things moved on a little further. But with that being said, as always, thank you guys for making it this far. If you have, please consider giving this video a like. If you like this content and would love to see more of it, a subscribe would go a long way. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.